What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, bringing home the bacon. MLB DFS video for Tuesday, August 8th, 2023. You are in for a treat if you've never been here before. Why? Because we go over everything in depth. I want to make you, the average user, better at DFS. If you need a little bit of help, we are here for you. Once we break it down, so we are going through every single pitcher on the slate. We're going to look at the weather. We're going to look at the ballpark factors. We're going to look at the batters, splits between right-handed and left-handed pitching. We are going to cover it all. After this video, if you need a little bit more help, you can always go to FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. You can sign up FTA Plus. $24.99 for 1 month, includes all the sports. MLB, MMA, NASCAR, PGA, coming up on NFL. If you want to do even more than that, if you use the promo code NFLVIP, you can get the yearly pass $100 off right now. Looking at the codes, we have 4 of those codes left. So NFLVIP, get $100 off the year pass right now. If you have any questions after that, please let us know. All the links are in the description of this video. You can find the links to most of the pages. We've got a ton of coverage. We have our MLB DFS player projections every single day. These are what we're going to cover. We're going to cover a couple of them, or we're going to cover about 10 of them in this video, but we run simulations. So we run 10,000 simulations with AI every single day, and it spits out the best player projections that we have had, and we've been killing it with it. You can ask people in the comment section here. A lot of people have been following it. It's been awesome. We have batter splits, which is what we cover in this video. We have BVP, which some people like, some people don't. We have stolen base targets, which people like, contrarian stacks, cheat sheet prop bets, betting odds, ballpark ratings, umpire factors as well. So if you want to check it out, go to FantasyTeamAdvisors.com and check it out. If you are new to the channel, anytime a video gets at least 50 likes, you leave a comment in the video, and you're a subscriber, you have a chance to win. 50 likes on a video has a chance to win a free week of a free week of coverage, which now includes all the sports we just talked about. If a video gets at least 100 likes, you have a chance to win a free month. If a video gets 125 likes, you have a chance to win a free year. And if any video gets 150 likes, you have a chance to win a lifetime pass worth $4.99. All you have to do is like the video and leave a comment so we can pick it up in this YouTube comment picker. So it's been awesome. You guys have been amazing. Let me know how you found the channel. Been doing big things. Been awesome. Love it. And welcome. If you've never been here before, hopefully you're in for a treat. So let's see who the winner is for Monday's video. Good luck to everybody. The winner of the prize is Eduardo Gonzalez. Thank you for the insight yesterday. I was able to profit. Thank you for checking the video out. If you are watching this video, hit us up. Tell us you've seen this video on this channel right here. Like the video. And then you can either email me, dfshelp1@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on Twitter @advisors_team, and that'll help us kind of figure it out. So if you guys are... Those are the 2 ways to get with us. So either Twitter, and you can either follow us or DM us. We will see both of those @advisors_team, or again, you can hit us up on email at our support, dfshelp1@gmail.com. So what are we doing here? What are we going to do? This is what we do. We're going through all of these. So right now, we're not digging into the weather. We do have a weather tab on the cheat sheet, which you can find. We also have optimal lineups on the website too. Those are to be used as starting points, and then you build through your own research, this research here, and then our cheat sheet and other sources. We're going to go through everything. So the first game of the day, and I don't know why there are 4 games early. They're only 30 minutes early. Well, 25 minutes earlier than normal. Or the main slate, I should say, but it still splits it up a little bit, so it gives us a 4-game early or turbo, whichever site you're on, and then it gives us a main slate of 11 games there. So, looking at this, that's the main. We'll look at that, but we will look at this first. So, looking at this, you've got Miles Mikolas versus Zach Eflin. Mikolas going up against Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay, not always the best. So, use that information how you will. I don't really trust Mikolas enough. And then Eflin has been expensive all year. He's actually cheaper than he's been for a while, I believe. But let's look at Mikolas here. He's second lowest on the slate. Game logs, he's coming off a pretty good game against Mini, but then he's had some bad games in a row here. Went 0.2 innings in this game. Went 5, 6. Not enough. Even at 6,000 against Tampa Bay, it's hard. He obviously hasn't faced Tampa Bay this year. Overall, he is better on the road. And this ballpark is a little bit more conducive for pitching. So if you want to get a little bit creative and you want to spend less, because I would not go down to Weaver at all. This would be the lowest I would go, and it would probably be the only one down there. I would look at Mikolas there. And it is Tampa Bay, though, at home. They've been pretty hard to get out at home, but they are human. They can, they can lose games at home, too. Then on the flip side of that, Zach Eflin. So game logs. I mean, you can see this is the first time he's been under 9K since May 14th. He's the same price he was May 14th. Coming off against the Yankees, his last start on August 1st, 25.7 fantasy points. 6 innings of 5 strikeouts, no earned runs. Facing St. Louis, obviously he hasn't faced them this year. Home games, he is better at home, 2.6 ERA. Only given up 6 home runs in this ballpark, 21 earned runs, 75 strikeouts in here. He is expensive, and St. Louis can strike out. So let's take a look at both of these. This is what we're going to do. This is the splits that you can find on the website, but we're going to look at Cardinals and Tampa Bay against right-handed pitching. So you can do the exact same thing on the website, but I wanted to show you guys first and kind of break it down just a little bit more. So hopefully it helps you out. So let's take a look at Tampa Bay against right-handed pitchers this year so far. Now, this takes into effect any batter that has at least 50 plate appearances against right-handed pitching or left-handed pitching with the other tab. So you can see if you are taking, if you're not going to take Mikolas and you are going to take batters against him, Yandy Diaz is at the top here. He's just on my shit list because every time I take him for a home run parlay or 2+ bag total bases, he never gets it for me. He gets it the game before and he gets it the game after, never when I need it. So he's in a good spot here. He's got a 396 OPS, a 475 slugging, 872 or OBP and 872 OPS. Arozarena at home's got a good OBP there. You want to target ones that have a lot of green. So I don't think I'd be using Manny Margot much. Probably, I think Ramirez and Siri are both tournament options. Paredes, Brandon Lau, I don't mind. Luke Raley, I don't mind. I don't mind Wander Franco either. And then if you want to take St. Louis bats against Eflin, which I don't know if you are going to, but if you are playing this and you're thinking about doing it, you can be looking at this. You've got Nolan Gorman. He's got a little bit more green than he does red or orange. Goldie, obviously, always a good shot here. He's got green. Arenado's got green there. Wilson Contreras is probably only a tournament option for me. Lars Nootbaar, I like him when he is leading off. You just got to make sure he's leading off. Carlson, I'm okay with. Brendan Donovan actually has some good numbers here. A 368 OBP, 290 batting average, 456 slugging, 824 OPS against right-handed bats or right-handed pitching. Paul DeJong obviously got traded, but this is taking into effect all of the teams that he was on. So he's on there for St. Louis. You got Jordan Walker. The problem is Jordan Walker, late into games, say it's like the 8th inning, is his 4th at bat, and if it's a close game, he might get pinch hit for, so you could be screwed over by there. So that being said, looking at this game, probably not taking Mikolas here in cash. If I'm doing tournaments, you got to get creative in tournaments. Pretty much any of these pitchers, I don't mind in tournaments, outside of probably Weaver, maybe Braxton Garrett in Cincinnati. But yeah, this ballpark, it's not the best ballpark for hitting. It could be good for pitching, so that is definitely something you could look at as well. So that's the first game. It is in a dome, so weather's not going to be a factor, so we are good to go there. Next game, the Twins at the Tigers. You got Sonny Gray versus Eduardo Rodriguez. Sonny Gray has a this is a great matchup on paper for him because Detroit's, I believe, ranked 29th overall ISO power against right-handed pitching. As a team overall, they are second to last. He's got good numbers against them in 74 plate appearances. Erod, on the other hand, 78 plate appearances against the Twins, 329 batting average here. Looking at that, he is up and down. You really got to figure out what you're going to get out of him. So let's take a look. They're really close in price to each other. Game log, Sonny Gray coming off a great start against St. Louis, and then not a good start against Kansas City, which is a better matchup for him. Looking at the game against St. Louis, he's coming off 7 innings, 2 earned runs, 8 strikeouts. Now he heads to Detroit. His ERA is pretty good. It's pretty identical, home and away. A little bit worse away, but, got to take, the away games and the teams that he was facing, which weren't Detroit. Away, he has walked more, struck out less in the same amount of games, 1 more home run, 2 more earned runs, less hits allowed though. 3-2 record at home, 2-2 record on the road. Looking at the other side of that, Erod, game logs. It's been a couple, against Pittsburgh, obviously for 9,500, you're going to want at least 22, 25 fantasy points. Got an 18.7 against Pittsburgh, had a fantastic shot, didn't do anything. 6 innings, because with the DraftKings scoring, hits allowed are minus points. Because he only gave up 2 earned runs, had 5 strikeouts, but 18.7 is not enough. Looking at this, he hasn't faced Minnesota this year. Home games, he is worse at home, 327. 15 earned run. They're very close. He has given up more home runs at home in 2 less starts. He has less walks, less Ks in that situation there. But again, with a 4-game slate, got to get a little creative. But the weather is going to play a factor here. As of now, it is. Now, depending on when you watch this video, obviously weather changes. So keep monitoring that situation when you're building your lineups. Looking at this is kind of what we're looking at. So what are we looking at? Let's look at the bats here. So we want to look at the Tigers' bats against right-handed pitching that have had success, or what their numbers look like overall. And it's kind of almost the same when we're looking. I wouldn't trust Miggy. I just don't want to pay for him. 231 batting average. Riley Green's been absolutely on fire almost every game lately, except for, I believe, Sunday he didn't do anything. He's one of the lone bright spots in this lineup. I'd look at Riley Green. But yeah, as you can see, their batting averages are not very high here. Matt Vierling, I don't mind him. He doesn't have any red. He's got orange and yellow and a little bit of green. So you could be looking at him. I don't mind Zach McKinstry, Torkelson. I don't mind these for tournaments, especially with 4 games. Those are good tournament options. That's what I would look at here. But again, I don't know if I will even play this early slate. I just wanted to give you guys options to what you could look at. Then we're going to take a look at Minnesota against left-handers. Jesus. Minnesota against left-handed pitcher Eduardo Rodriguez. So, looking at this, you got Donovan Solano, 271 batting average. Not a ton of isolated power here, so a little bit weary on this one, but he's an option. Joey Gallo, I believe, I just saw a stat on Monday that he has 241, or I think he has 271 at-bats this year, and he has 141 strikeouts in those at-bats, which is, watching him with the Yankees, obvious, duh. He's not a good option. Yeah, you're going to see in the box score, he could have that game where he has 2 or 3 home runs, but the next 7 games he's going to strike out almost every single at-bat, so that's something to look at. Other ones that I would look at and monitor, Michael A. Taylor. We used him the other day. He hit a home run for us. He's got good slugging. He's got good isolated power there. Correa really hasn't done much at all this year. And he's got a lower strikeout rate against lefties, which is like the only good bright spot of everything on here that you could look at. Buxton's on the IL, so I wouldn't look at him. Ryan Jeffers against the lefty. I like Ryan Jeffers here. Just got to make sure he's in there. It's going to be between probably Vasquez and Jeffers. I don't mind Jeffers. I like him a little bit more than I do like Vasquez. Then we take a look at the next game. So I would look at Sonny Gray for tournaments. Again, with 4 games here, you're going to be looking for tournaments. Maybe 3 if this game gets rained out. I don't know. But I don't mind either of these pitchers here. Next game, Nationals at the Phillies. You got Josiah Gray versus Zach Wheeler. Again, would not be surprised if we see an over-under of about 8.5 to 9 when it opens. Definitely make sure. We do have a Vegas tab on our website, so you can go check that out. So, looking at Josiah Gray here. Game log, really bad game against Milwaukee. 3.2 innings, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Against the Mets, I mean, had a good matchup there. Gave up 2 hits, no earned runs, 4 strikeouts, 17.3 at 6,600. He is right around, he's at 6,800. San Francisco, one of his best starts of the year. 7 innings, 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts. So he has these flashes of good games. I guarantee he's going to be one of the lowest owned pitchers on this early slate here, so you might want to take advantage of that. But we will dig into the bats if you're not taking Josiah Gray. And then that brings us to Zach Wheeler, who's the most expensive on this early slate. We look at his game logs, 13.3 fantasy points his last start against Miami, which we did take him against Miami, and it backfired on us. Had a really good game against Pittsburgh, 36.6, 26.2, 20.8. So he had a little run there of some good games. Now he's facing Washington. He's faced them twice this year. 8.2 innings, 11 earned runs, 9 strikeouts in these 2 matchups. 11.42 ERA, and he's averaging 5 fantasy points per game in these 2 starts. So people might not dig in. This is the thing. People might just come here, look at this, see he's averaging good his last 10 games, and go with that because he's the highest priced pitcher and they think he has a good matchup against this team. But let's take a look at exactly what we're looking at. So both the Washington Nationals and the Philadelphia Phillies against right-handed pitching. So if you want to do this, we can just go game by game. So we'll do both of the teams here against right-handed pitching. As you can see, depending on what you're looking at, Alec Boehm, I don't mind him. 277 average, 341 OBP. His isolated power, though, against righties, not good. Very, very bad. Keibert Ruiz, I don't mind him. Cheaper options. Brandon Marsh is on the IL. You'd think Schwarber had better numbers. He's only batting 172 against right-handed pitching, which is nuts to me. He's a fantastic lefty pitcher. He just hits lefties better. He would still be an option I'd look at, but his numbers are not good. His BABIP is very low against righties, so if you want to kind of fade him and go someone else because he is so expensive, I wouldn't fault you on that. You got Castellanos is a good option as well. 298 OBP, 260 batting average, 181 isolated power against them. Trey Turner's been coming on strong lately. Lane Thomas has been pretty good for us. The only downfall is he strikes out 29% of the time against righties. But still, Lane Thomas has been on fire for us when we've taken him. I don't mind Bryson Stott. He's batting 304 against righties. Candelario is no longer on the team, obviously. Bryce Harper has fantastic numbers against righties. 307 average, 403 OBP, 391 BABIP. These are ones that I'm looking at for sure. Real Muto, I don't mind him either going up against this team. Dom Smith, I don't mind. GPP only, obviously. But yeah, those are the ones that I would use in this game. Those would be comfortable with in this game because I don't really want anything to do with Wheeler. I don't mind Josiah Gray for tournaments. Wheeler, I might steer clear of because he is so expensive. He's had so much. He's given up so many earned runs in the 2 starts this year against against Washington. I'm a little leery on that. Moving to the next one, the Marlins at the Reds. So this is the number 1 ballpark. Let's see. Yeah, currently right now with the weather, should be blowing out in this ballpark. It's called Great American Small Park for a reason. It has the biggest boost for a home run chance in this game, and we're going to look at these numbers. Haven't dug into these numbers. When I look at them, I look at them with you. So, looking at this, Braxton Garrett, he's down here against Cincy. Game logs, not so good against the Phillies his last start. Had a good game against Detroit, not a good game against Colorado, not a good game against Baltimore or Philly. I mean, they've been pretty bad. It's been basically his best start was back against Pittsburgh, which it should have been, June 22nd. Looking at his splits, he's on the road. He is better on the road, though. in 10 starts on the road, 51 innings pitched, 54 strikeouts, so he has less strikeouts on the road, more walks, does have considerably less home runs, but he's going up against this team. He's faced Cincy one time this year, 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts. Let's take a look at where this game was played. Was it in Cincy? No, it was at home in Miami. So he had good numbers at home. I don't trust him. Really don't trust him at all. Then we look at Cincy's pitcher, Luke Weaver. I don't trust him either. He's coming with almost a 7 ERA. It's always been, let's stack against him. And that's pretty much what we're probably going to do in this one. This is another one where I think I'm just going to stack Miami and Cincinnati bats. I'm not looking at the pitching in this slate. Or in this game anyway. Splits-wise, he has faced Miami once this year, 5.1 innings, 7 hits allowed, 1 earned run, 6 Ks. Had 17.2, so he did have some good numbers there. I'm assuming this one also was in Miami. Yeah, so it was in Miami. I do not trust it in this ballpark with the way the weather is going. I am looking at the bats in this situation. So, looking at that, let's take a gander at the Marlins bats against right-handed pitching. So the ones that have had success against right-handed pitching, Luis Arraez, obviously he's been absolutely killing it. He's good for, couple of, if this would be one where I would look at, if I'm sports betting, I'm looking at Luis Arraez 2+ bases, and I'm taking that bet. 5% strikeout rate, which is very low. Obviously the guy doesn't strike out a ton anyway. Walk in there. He's got a 380 batting average against lefties, a 432 OBP. He's 918 OPS and a 106 isolated power, 391 BABIP. Luis Arraez is my number 1 batter in this game. We look at other ones. Sanchez, 265 batting average. I don't mind Sanchez here. Gene Segura is no longer on the team, so obviously we can't use him. Brian De La Cruz, 259 batting average, 307 OBP. I don't mind him. I would look at Joey Wendell. Tournaments only because he does have a lot of red here. Jazz, it depends. As of now, he's not on the IL, but he got hurt on Sunday. No, he got hurt on Saturday, and then he was out Sunday. And I can't remember if he was in or not on Monday, but this is a caution one. If he's in, though, I do like his numbers. 290 batting average, 346 OBP against a righty. I would look at there. Cooper's obviously gone. He got traded. Jorge Soler, I don't mind. I love Soler more against lefties, but we can take advantage of that against Luke Weaver in this ballpark. I think you're going to see a lot of home runs in this game, and I'm very excited to bet some of these home run bets and total bases in this game. So then let's take a look at the Reds batters against left-handed pitching. So looking at this, TJ Friedl, 296 batting average against lefties, 345 OBP. Spencer Steer, 315 batting average, 375 there. I want to say Senzel, but I don't remember. I think he's on the IL. I could be wrong, though. Let's check it out. Nope. He just didn't play on Monday. That's what. He was out on Monday. Just a bench. Should be good if he is in there. I don't mind Senzel, 325 batting average. Again, it's a lower plate appearance at 85, but we'll take what we can get, 388 OBP. Steer is a good one that I would look at. I don't mind Stuart Fairchild. Matt McClain's got a lot of green here against lefties. I would look at him. Ellie De La Cruz here. I don't mind him. He's a switch hitter, so we're pretty good there. And Joey Votto, I don't mind either. He just hasn't made the plate appearance what we're looking at yet. He needs at least 50 plate appearances against lefties. So that being said, that is my thought in this game. So that is this right here. We have covered the first slate here. If you got questions, let us know down below. So now we get to finally the main slate, which we can go over. Houston Astros versus Baltimore Orioles. Everyone knows, or you should know, that Framber Valdez is coming off that no-hitter his last start. You got Framber Valdez versus Grayson Rodriguez, who Grayson's never faced them before. He's had his ups and downs. So we'll look at these numbers here. Valdez on the road, game log-wise, obviously a no-hitter, 47.7 fantasy points. That is above the means. That is an outlier here. Because as you saw, he hasn't been good the past couple of starts before that. And that was against Texas, which makes sense. And then Oakland. In Oakland, we used him in Oakland because that's a fantastic matchup for him, and he did absolutely nothing for us there. So looking at that, not good there. Then he had a good game against the Angels. So we're looking at splits. Hasn't faced Baltimore this year. So obviously his home games are going to be a little skewed now that he had an entire start with not giving up a run. But away, he's pitching 4.11 ERA away. He's given up the same amount of earned runs on the road in 5 less starts. More home runs in 5 less starts. Same with walks. Less strikeouts. I think a lot of people are going to be on Framber because a lot of casual DFS players are going to see that he had a no-hitter and then be like, oh, it's Baltimore. And if they don't know much about baseball, they don't know how good Baltimore is. And I did this last week, but I think I'm avoiding Framber. I think he's going to be super expensive, especially at this price. And his ownership is going to be through the roof because people are going to be chasing that no-hitter. It happens every time someone has a perfect game or a no-hitter. They chase. And I could be wrong, and you guys can come back and tell me if I'm wrong, but that's the difference between us and the other bigger names because they won't admit they're wrong. I will come back tomorrow if I am wrong about Framber, but I can't pay that price against Baltimore. Just don't like it. Then we look at Grayson Rodriguez here. He is, kind of down the list. Looking at what he's coming in at. He's coming in at a 6.09 ERA. Against Toronto, 16.4, 5.2 innings, 300 runs. Not a lot. Against the Yankees, had a good start there. Against Tampa Bay, had a good start. And then not a good start against the Dodgers, and then he was sent down. Looking at this, he hasn't faced Houston this year. We know Houston really, it's a tale of two teams. Watching them against the Yankees this past weekend, I see that, I know they're missing like Brantley, and they've missed a couple of bats, and their pitchers, they don't look like as good as they were last year. Whether or not that is just a sample size of 4 games that I've watched, I don't know. I don't know if I trust Rodriguez enough, though, for cash. In tournaments, I don't mind. I don't mind Rodriguez in tournaments because I think a lot more people will be on Framber at 11,000 than will be on Grayson at 6,900, and we could definitely be looking at less exposure for us and more fantasy points per dollar out of this. But let's take a look. Let's dig in. Let's take a look at the Baltimore Orioles versus left-handed pitching in Framber Valdez. You can see that Ryan Mountcastle's batting .350 against lefties, .670 slugging, over 1,000 OPS, which is amazing. Fantastic numbers. This is what we need to look at. So if I'm looking at this game, I'm looking at Mountcastle. I'm looking at Adley Rutschman, who's got a .419 OBP, a .304 batting average, .883 OPS, 161 isolated power here. I didn't even say Ryan Mountcastle against lefties, .320 isolated power, which not the top, but pretty damn good. All of his numbers are fantastic. I would look at Rutschman there. I would look at Mateo's more of a tournament option. I would still look at Gunnar Henderson. I know he's batting 190 against lefties, lefty on lefty matchup, but I like him. But for sure, I would be hitting the button on Mountcastle. I'd be hitting the button on Adley Rutschman. If you want to get a little bit crazy, if James McCann is in there, which I don't think he will be, you could look at him. But I think, Mountcastle and Rutschman jump out to me the most right now. Santander, another one. He's a switch hitter. 368 OBP, 247 batting average there. I don't mind Anthony Santander. So the ones I would look at, Mountcastle, Rutschman, Santander, Gunnar Henderson, maybe Mateo for tournaments, because if he gets on, he can steal a base or two and get you those points. But that's a big if he gets on. Then you want to take the Astros bats against right-handed pitching in Grayson Rodriguez. So if you're not going with Grayson, we can check out who we could go with. So Houston bats against a right-hander. Bregman, 279 batting average, 381 OBP. Got Kyle Tucker, 271 average, 358, which I wouldn't be surprised if Tucker hits a home run. Jordan, batting 273 look at Jordan's numbers. Off the IL, everything here is what I want. This is what I want in Jordan. I would be looking at Kyle Tucker. I'd be looking at Jordan. Corey Julks just got sent down to the minors either Sunday night or Monday morning. So that's something. He's off the team, obviously. They're talking about bringing up John Singleton, which he's murdering it in AAA. If John Singleton is up for this slate, I would look at him for a very cheap option if he's on the rosters, which if he gets called up, he should be on the rosters. Actually, you know what? Let's just take a look real quick. Let's see if Singleton there he is. If he's on here, 2,400 if he gets called up. He's been killing it since he started. Yeah. So this would be one where he hasn't been good in the majors. I know that. 103 batting average overall, but 2,400, a lefty against Grayson here. I would not mind John Singleton as a very contrarian tournament option, to be completely honest. I think he'll go less than 1%. And those are the kind of advantages you need in a tournament, would be something like that. Jolks is gone. Dubon, I don't really want. Jake Myers had a couple of 3-run home runs at Yankee Stadium over the weekend. If he gets a start, I don't mind him. Wouldn't use Maldonado. Pena hasn't really looked the same. Chas McCormick is looking pretty good there with a 256 average, 358 OBP, and 847 OPS. So next game, we got the Braves at the Pirates. You got Yanni Chirinos versus Mitch Keller. This one, I don't know if I want anything to do with. You go down here for Yanni Chirinos, right? Yep, Chirinos against Pittsburgh. It is a good matchup for him. Game logs, 15.1 against the Angels, 5 innings. That's the most he's gone. If he could go 5 innings, obviously would be good. I don't trust him enough. 3.2 here, 4.2, 1, 2.2. 3 earned runs, 4, 3. He's giving up earned runs, not getting a ton of points. If he goes 5 innings, I don't mind, but that's a big if. Splits-wise, he hasn't faced Pittsburgh this year. He's pitching on the road. He is better on the road, but again, only one of those on the road is a game start. So these numbers don't mean a ton there. So even though it's against the Pirates, I don't know if I'll take Chirinos in tournaments. I'll throw him in because he is 6,500, and that does open up a ton of him. Like, you go anywhere with that, but I'm a little bit more weary on that. Then Mitch Keller, he's been very up and down this year. 5th highest priced on this slate. Game log, minus 2.6 against Milwaukee. We actually stacked Milwaukee. If you were here last week, we stacked Milwaukee in this game, and that absolutely worked out for us. 5 innings, 8 earned runs, 3 walks, 1 home run, minus 2.6. Splits-wise, he hasn't faced Atlanta this year. I don't trust him because Atlanta is a good team. We know Atlanta is a very good team. Home games, 3.57 ERA, so he is better at home, but he hasn't faced Atlanta. He has not faced a fantastic team like Atlanta, and we're going to dig into the numbers. So looking at right-handers, we're looking at the Braves and the Pirates against right-handed pitching. So go at Atlanta and then Pittsburgh here. Sawinski, I don't mind. He's got a lot of green, does have a little bit of red here for BABIP. Austin Riley against a righty. He's been good at 278. His numbers are good. Sean Murphy's good numbers are good. Matt Olson's been amazing. Matt Olson would be probably my number one first baseman on this slate, but it's between him and Freeman for number 1, 1A and 1B every single start. So that's what I'd be looking at. Acuna has been amazing against righties, 347 batting average there. If he doesn't hit a home run, he's probably getting a stolen base or 2 in this, so I would definitely take Acuna. Brian Reynolds, I don't mind. Albies, I don't mind Albies. Michael Harris, I would look at. He's hitting 280 against righties, so I'd be kind of looking at that too. So those are the bats I would look at in this game. I'm probably just going to stack this game more heavily on the Braves bats, not looking at Mitch Keller or Yanni Chirinos here. Next game, Royals at the Red Sox. So like I say pretty much every time, it's really hard to want to take a pitcher in this ballpark, but if I am, it would be Cutter Crawford. So looking at Brady Singer versus Cutter Crawford here. They're right next to each other. They're pretty much the same price. Looking at the ballpark factors right now for Fenway, obviously it can change. The wind currently is projected to blow out to right center, which does give a boost to home runs, gives a boost to doubles and triples as well in that gap, does give a boost to runs. So brings me down a little bit for pitching. Normally I would say let's take a pitcher against Kansas City, but they've been on a run lately, which has been crazy. So game logs for Singer, he's actually been pretty solid. We took him against the Mets his last start. Fantastic. It worked out for us. You're averaging probably looking at right around 100 pitches as long as he stays into it, which is fantastic. 5 to 8 innings is what we're looking at. Splits-wise, hasn't faced Boston this year. On the road, he has been worse on the road, and this game is kind of looking like runs might be a plenty in this one. I'm probably avoiding pitching in this one. But we can look at Cutter Crawford real quick. Game logs, or splits, hasn't faced Kansas City this year. He is worse at home. To be honest, I think you could stack both of these teams. So let's take a look at Kansas City and Boston against right-handed pitching and see if there's any ones that jump out to you, and I bet there is. So I wouldn't use Wong. Kyle Massey. Isn't Kyle Massey the guy from Disney Channel? From That's So Raven? I think it is. I don't know why I know that. I don't mind him for tournaments. Verdugo against righties, 286 batting average. I like Verdugo here as long as he makes it to the stadium on time. He doesn't get benched. Yoshida, I like him, 314 batting average there. Devers at home against a righty, I'll take him. Justin Turner, I'll take. Bobby Witt has been on fire lately. Jarren Duran, I would take. Jarren Duran's got a lot of green, too. So those would be probably the ones that I'd be looking at if I'm playing this. I'm probably avoiding the pitching in this one, and I'm taking the bats on both sides. Cubs at the Mets, you got Jameson Taillon versus Carlos Carrasco. Now, however it opens up, let's definitely look at the Vegas numbers. But looking at this, they're 60. There's a reason they're this far down. Taillon's looked bad this year. Overall, 5.36 ERA, 6-6 record. Game logs, he's had a couple of good starts here. 5 innings against the Reds, 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts. Against St. Louis, 6 innings, 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts. Hasn't faced the Mets this year. The Mets offense is looking bad. It's not that good, so we can look at that. But looking at this, Taillon on the road, 4.28 ERA compared to 6.17 at home. So he is better on the road. This is a pitcher's park in the Mets. Looking at the ballpark factors here. Let's see. Where is Citi Field? Yeah, it's kind of neutral with the runs. It thinks it's going to be more of a pitcher's duel, which I don't know about with these two pitchers, so we will definitely dig into the numbers. And then you look at Carrasco. We stacked against Carrasco his last start. It came through for us. We took Kansas City against Carrasco. It was in the midst of Kansas City's little, I think like 8-game winning streak or something like that. 6 earned runs in that game, -4. So he's had 3 straight starts of negative points. Now he's going up against Cubs that are a very hot team, trying to vie for the NL Central. I don't think I want anything to do with pitching. We can look at both the Cubs bats and the Mets bats against right-handers. Looking at this, Tommy Pham's gone, Trey Mancini's gone. Don't mind Yan Gomes, 266 batting average. Lindor is an option that I would take. Alvarez is an option I would take here. He's got a bunch of green. Nico Horner, probably avoid Wisdom because he's really hit or miss, home run or bust here, and I don't like that. Brandon Nimmo, I don't mind. Alonso, I don't mind. He's got some green there. Tauchman, if Tauchman is leading off, I don't mind Tauchman, but it's a big if he's leading off. Bellinger in the spotlight in New York City. I love Belly here. 303 batting average, 348 OBP, 843 OPS. Chris Morel has some great numbers against righties. 303 average, 364 OBP, has a 396 BABIP, pretty high isolated power at 271, 938 OPS. I'm taking him. Ian Happ, I'm also taking, and Dansby's just been on fire. I would be taking him. And I saw that Marte was put back on the IL for a groin injury or something like that. So the Mets are struggling. Not as bad as the White Sox. If you guys haven't seen what's going on with the White Sox organization, go Google it or YouTube it. There's they are in shambles, absolute shambles. So if you're a White Sox fan, sorry. You got Anderson not being able to take a punch, then you can't stay off social media talking about it, and then the entire He apparently got slapped by Yasmani Grandal the other day, or before the All-Star break. Just some wild stuff going on in South Side. It's pretty funny. But yeah, those are the ones that I'd look at in this game. I don't want anything to do with the pitching. Next game, Blue Jays at the Guardians. You got Yusei Kikuchi versus Tanner Bibby. Kikuchi, I don't know what to think about him. Looking at him, we can look at his numbers. We'll take a little gander, see what you guys see. Am I missing him? There he is. Okay, there we go. So game logs, obviously coming off the IL recently, or no, I'm thinking Ryu. He's been okay. I had a good game against Baltimore, 6 innings, 1 earned run there, 17.3 fantasy points. Against the Dodgers, had a really good game. Against Seattle, had a really good game. Splits-wise, hasn't faced Cleveland this year. He is a little bit worse on the road, but they're pretty similar. And it's Cleveland. Just it depends on who's going to be in, who's going to be out in this lineup. I don't mind Kikuchi here because it is Cleveland, but we'll look at some other things. So then we look at Tanner Bibby up here at 9,500. Not a good game against Houston, but Houston's a really good team. Had a good game against the White Sox. Had a great game against Philly in that offense. Texas didn't do bad against Texas. Gave up 5 hits though, so his numbers were a little bit skewed. Kansas City thought he could have had a better game here, but only 12.5. Splits wise, hasn't faced Toronto this year. He's fantastic at home. 196 ERA in 8 starts. Less than half the earned runs. 1/9 of the home runs. He's only given up 1 home run at home. But basically about the same for strikeouts. So I think it's kind of crazy, but Toronto, since Bichette has gone out, they're striking out at a massive clip. So you could be looking at Bibby. I don't mind him. I think he's going to go under the radar. I mean, he is 9,500, but I don't mind Bibby here. So we can look at the we'll take a look at Cleveland bats against left-handed pitching, and we'll take a look at Toronto bats against right-handed pitching. So, Toronto bats here. Kirk, I don't know if I trust him enough. He isn't striking out a ton, though, so that's a plus. Got Brandon Belt, who's kind of good against lefties, or against righties. Whit Merrifield would be one option I'd look at. But to be honest, I think I might be avoiding Toronto bats and looking at Bibby here. He's got good numbers at home. Everything lines up for him to have a good start. Again, if I'm wrong, we'll come back and talk about it in tomorrow's video, but I don't mind it. And then left-handed pitching, Rosario's gone. Josh Bell is gone. You got Miles Straw, batting 245 there. You got Naylor, who's on the IL. Stephen Kwan, 283 batting average. I mean, there's a ton of things happening with this team. You don't know who's in the lineup day in and day out. So looking at that, Ramirez is being suspended for the fight, but if he appeals, he could be in this game. So that's something to look at. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to have much batting in this game. I think I'd rather take Bibby over Kikuchi here. Yankees at the White Sox, Clark Schmidt versus Touki Toussaint. Like I said, there's a lot of turmoil in this lineup, in this organization as a whole. So that's something we could look at. Clark Schmidt's actually been decent lately. Looking at his numbers here, whether or not he's been decent pitching, but he's not getting the fantasy points. That's the difference. So with the scoring here, 5 innings against the Astros, Yankees won that game, 2 earned runs, but only had 11.7 fantasy points. He's at 7,100. He's faced the White Sox once this year, 6 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, 2 home runs, a 4.50 ERA, and only 5.3 fantasy points. That game obviously came in New York in June. As much as I want to use him, he's just not been good enough for DFS purposes. Real life, he's been very serviceable arm. DFS purposes, not enough fantasy points out of him. At 7,200, at 7,100 here, not enough. And then Touki Toussaint, he's going to be down here, right? Yeah, he's going to be the second lowest game log. 5 innings. He's going 5, but he's given up earned runs. Had a good game against Cleveland. He had 9 strikeouts against Texas. Didn't do too bad there. The most amount of strikeouts he's had all year. Yep. Splits-wise, hasn't faced the Yankees this year. Home games, he is better at home. The Yankees have been striking out. But I kind of don't mind the Yankees as a stack here, just depending on the lineup that comes out. If Jake Bauers is at the top, I don't mind. But yeah, so let's take a look. Let's take a look at both the Yankees and the White Sox against right-handed pitching and what bats we could be targeting in this situation. Where is it at? New York Yankees, Chicago White Sox. So, looking at this, Glaber's been on fire lately. I'd definitely be looking at Glaber. Eloy has a 288 batting average, but he got hurt in the skirmish. So I don't know if he's in. I don't think he's hurt yet, but that's something to pay attention to. If Jake Bauers is at the top of the lineup, I love him getting those 4 at-bats there. Love me some Judge. He's got some good numbers here. A lot of green against righties. Luis Robert Jr. has been good, I would use. DJ LeMahieu's really come on strong since the All-Star break. I think he's batting like 388 since the All-Star break, or some number I would look at. Benintendi, I think he's more of a tournament option, but that's up to you guys. Oswaldo Cabrera, if he's in the lineup, I don't mind. IKF, I don't mind. Stanton, I don't. Stanton, if he plays the outfield, I like to use him. If he DHs, he goes like 0 for 6. I don't know what I'm going to get out of Stanton. That's the problem. Stanton is the number 1 GPP only dude because you never know what you're going to get out of him. He could hit 3 home runs in a game. He could have 10 RBIs, but he can also go 0 for 6 in a game like he did on Sunday. You don't know what you're going to get out of him. And just depending, he did play on Monday, so I would not be surprised if Stanton is out. But if Stanton is in the outfield, I will take him in this game. But again, not a ton of options, and I wouldn't use the pitching in this one. Maybe Toussaint for tournaments just because he is 5,700 and he's coming off of 9 strikeouts against a really good Texas team, which is a better team than the Yankees. You could use that as your jumping off point there. But again, Clark Schmidt's not doing enough to warrant pitching and giving us the points. And I think I did forget to mention, but at the end of this video, we are going to go over the top 15 batters, or top 10 to 15 batters that we've ran through 2,000 simulations to get. And those would be on the website later on. I'll just let you know right now, the algorithm really likes the Braves against Keller, like big time. And it's favoring a couple of Miami batters, a couple of Phillies, a couple of Yankees. So definitely stick around. Next game, Rockies at the Brewers. You got Kyle Freeland versus Wade Miley. Man, looking at this, probably not using either of these pitchers. Freeland, game log, not enough. He's not doing much. Could against Milwaukee, but I don't think he will. Splits-wise, he has faced Milwaukee this year. 5 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs. Had 23.5. Pretty good. Let's see where this was. If this was in Milwaukee. It was at home in Colorado. So really good numbers against them. Freeland might be a tournament option, a very cheap tournament option. Like if you pitched Freeland in Toussaint, I mean, you could average 4,800 every other position. Like that might be if you're one that makes multiple lineups, go with this. I don't mind that. If you're one that makes like 2 or 3 cash lineups, these are not viable pitching options. And then Wade Miley here, his entire career he's been up and down. Not a good game against Washington. A really good game against Cincy, which makes no sense because Cincy's a really good team. Not a good game against Chicago. Not a good game against the Mets. Splits-wise, he's faced Colorado once this year. 6 hits allowed in 6 innings, 3 earned runs, only 6.7 fantasy points. Probably avoiding the pitching in this one, except for Freeland. So I'm not using Miley, but I would look at Freeland. So let's take a look at both the Colorado Rockies and the Milwaukee Brewers against left-handed pitching. Elias Diaz, I don't mind. William Contreras is just mashing against lefties. I would look at him. Bryant's on the IL, obviously. Willie Adames, I don't mind, but he is only batting 194. Ryan McMahon's only batting 198. Nolan Jones is a cheaper option. Yelich, I don't mind. He's batting 234, 292 OBP. CJ Cron's no longer on the team. Randall Grichuk's no longer on the team. Joey Weimer, I would look at him as a cheap option as well. So those would be the options I would look at. I wouldn't use Miley. I might use Freeland in tournaments. Giants at the Angels, you got to be announced, which is basically what you're going to see, versus Lucas Giolito. It's saying Alex Wood here, but I don't trust that because it always, basically every day is Alex Wood day here. But we can look at Lucas Giolito here. He's the third highest priced pitcher on this slate. Game logs, not a good game against Atlanta. It's Atlanta, though. They are obviously a really good team. So not taking it against him. And Detroit, so his first 2 starts for the Angels, not been the best. Splits-wise this year, hasn't faced San Francisco. I would like this game if it were in San Francisco a little bit more. Again, these numbers are going to be skewed because he's great at home, but those starts are all from when he was in Chicago, so not this ballpark. So we can't really go with his splits home and away here because technically it might feel like he's pitching away because he's not used to pitching here. And if he's pitching away, it's 6.15 ERA, and they haven't had success before. So looking at that, if you want to, let's take a look at at least the Giants' bats against the Angels, against right-handed pitching. Jock Peterson I would use. Wilmer Flores I would use. Lamont Wade Jr. I would use. Conforto I would use. J.D. Davis I would use. And can't really go over the Angels because we don't know who's batting, but obviously with the Angels, you're looking at Brandon Drury. You're looking at, obviously, Shohei. Specifically, if it's a righty, looking at Shohei. Lefty-righty, really doesn't matter. He's the best baseball player on the planet. So probably not using Giolito. Not going to be using whoever the Giants throw out there. I would be looking at the Giants bats I went over, and then Drury, Giolito, or no, Drury, Ohtani here. But this might be a game where I just avoid outside of like taking Ohtani for a home run bet or something like that. Then you got the Diamondbacks versus the Dodgers in Arizona. There's a reason this is called Chase Field, a.k.a. Coors Field Jr. If we look at the ballpark factors here, Chase Field, it's a dome, so the wind's not going to be a problem. They have a humidifier, whatever it is. The ball does fly out of here. We're looking at a plus to extra base hits, a little bit here. So it just depends on the bats that we look at. So Urias versus Brandon Pfaadt. We just used Urias' last start. It feels like it was just yesterday because he was the picture of our video the last time he started, which was the third, which would have been, what's that? Against Oakland. Yeah, I mean, it was against Oakland. He only went 5 innings. I had 22.9 fantasy points. Obviously, you want to see more than 5 innings out of him, but they were up on them, so they pulled him out. He's faced Arizona once this year. 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 22.5 fantasy points. That game came in at home, and that was the opening day. So he pitched opening day against Arizona, and they won that game. So it's a long time ago. On the road, he is worse on the road. This might be one where I avoid. He's got 8 on the road, 8 at home. Way worse on the road. And Arizona's been good. They've looked really bad since the All-Star break. I will give them that. I honestly don't know if they're even going to make the playoffs the way they've been. If they keep up what they've been doing, they have a chance not to make the playoffs, which is crazy because they've been really, really good offensively pretty much all year. So Urias, I don't think I want to use him at 7.89 ERA. Then Brandon Pfaadt here. It's real again. Most of the time, it's very hard to take a pitcher against the Dodgers team, but we will definitely look at that. Game logs, coming off a really good game at San Francisco. We used him in that game because if you pitch in San Francisco, you have a really good shot. That ballpark is huge, massive. Then you can see home games, he's worse at home. I can see a lot, probably avoiding both of these pitchers and looking at the offenses because it's so, the ballpark loves to give up home runs, loves to give up a ton of runs. I'm probably focusing more on that option there. So taking a look at the Arizona bats against Urias against lefties. Corbin Carroll, I don't mind. Lefty on lefty. He hits lefties to a 281 tune, 701 OPS. Does have a low ISO, though, so that's a little bit concerning. Christian Walker loves to hit lefties. Got a lot of green numbers here, so we're looking at that. Moreno, if he starts, I don't mind him for a cheap option. Gurriel, I don't mind. Ketel Marte, I don't mind. And Jake McCarthy, I don't mind. And then if you want to take the Dodgers bats against Brandon Pfaadt against right-handers, Muncy batting 225, a lot of green here. Jason Hayward is a very cheap option if he starts. Will Smith I really like. Mookie and Freeman I think is probably just a given, but fantastic. I mean, Freeman hitting 333 against righties. I would definitely look at him. Those would probably be the ones that I'd look at. I'd look at Muncy, Hayward, Smith, Betts, and Freeman, and then the Arizona bats that I talked about. Then we got San Diego Padres at the Mariners, to be announced versus Logan Gilbert. Look at Logan Gilbert real quick. Where is he? There he is. Man, this computer's going real slow right now. That's why when you guys donate to our Cash App, you sign up to the website. I'm trying to use all of these funds to get a new computer to bring this information to you guys because it's going very slow. I can't even play games on it. It's just so slow. Also, forgot to mention in the description of this video is the Discord channel that we opened up. We need to get more people in there, want to get more discussions going. So Logan Gilbert game logs not too good here, especially at his price. He's 8,700. Going up against San Diego, I don't trust him. He's faced them one time this year, 7 innings, 1 earned run. Had a really good game against them, but they're kind of coming on strong lately. They're not playing as bad as they were before the All-Star break. So looking at that, Gilbert at home, he is worse at home. Probably looking at San Diego bats. And then San Diego pitching says Nick Martinez, but I don't trust that. I don't know who it's going to be, so we're not going to go over that. So we are looking at San Diego bats against righties here. Real fast. Jake Cronenworth, I don't mind. Juan Soto kills righties big time. Almost all green out of him. Tatis, I don't mind. Depending if it's going to be Gary Sanchez or is it Campiano, I don't mind either of them. I would look at Bogarts, I would look at Kim, and I would look at Machado. So probably would avoid Carpenter, but I think a San Diego stack might do very well against Logan Gilbert. Then the final game, you got Max Scherzer versus the Athletics. I mean, this is a fantastic matchup for him. 20 plate appearances, 158. He gets to face in Oakland. Fantastic. And the thing is, he's less than Framber Valdez, but he's got a better matchup than Valdez. It is true, he's struggling to a 4.04 ERA, but he's getting, I would not be surprised if Scherzer gets 10 plus strikeouts in this game. Splits-wise, hasn't faced Oakland this year. It'll be away games. He has been worse on the road, but it's against Oakland. I'm all in on Max Scherzer against Oakland. I'm not looking at any of the Oakland bats. I'm looking at stacking the Dodgers. I'm looking at stacking the Rangers here against left-handed pitching. And we will look at the numbers real quick. Just like on Monday, pretty much the same. Simeon, I love Simeon here. These two are on the IL. I don't mind Duran. I love Seager. He hits lefty on lefty, batting 333. Nate Lowe, I don't mind. Taveras and Garcia. I will have multiple different Texas stacks against JP Sears and the Oakland Athletics this night on this slate. So there you have it. There's the breakdown of all of the pitching, all of the bats. Like I said, if you're still here, we're going to go over the top. Let's see how many there are. So far, we have ran the simulations 2,000 times. They'll be ran 10,000 times by tomorrow's slate, and they've been doing pretty well for us. So looking at the simulations, get a paper and pen, because we will go over it real quick. If you have questions, these are the top 15 batters so far. These will change a little bit once more weather comes in, once more everything else comes in. These will go through, but definitely stick around. And this is part of the premium content, so you can check it out. This has the players, their opponents, the park against the pitcher, all of their stats, and then projections on both DraftKings and FanDuel. So Aaron Judge, number 1, Ronald Acuna, Ozzie Albies, Kyle Schwarber, Jazz, as long as he's starting, Jake Bauers, loves Jake Bauers. The AI simulations love Jake Bauers if he's leading off. Chris Morel, loved those numbers. Matt Olson, Castellanos, Josh Bell, Ian Happ, Austin Riley, Whit Merrifield, Mookie Betts, and Bryce Harper. Again, that's Judge, Acuna, Albies, Schwarber, Jazz, Jake Bauers, Morel, Matt Olson, Castellanos, Josh Bell, Ian Happ, Austin Riley, Whit Merrifield, Mookie Betts, and Bryce Harper. Thank you guys for checking this video out. If you did find it helpful, if you loved it, let us know. It's probably our longest video, but it is very informative. We're bringing you as much information as we possibly can, and hopefully we help you bring home that bacon. So have a fantastic Tuesday. Let us know how you did on Monday. Leave the comments. Let's get 150 likes on this video so someone can win a free lifetime pass. Good luck, and as always, let's bring home some bacon. Peace!